All right. Good morning, students. I am at my coffee station today, making myself a morning cup of coffee. Only this time a little bit later on in the day. I slept in a little bit, which I think we might all be hopefully falling into the habit of just a little tiny bit, and that's really okay during this period of time. Anyways, the quicker story that I'm going to be sharing with you this morning is again from Irish fairy and folk tales. Uh, this is a fun one. It is not really a fairy tale this time. This is from the section Witches and Fairy Doctors. So it's a witch story. Witches might have interacted with the fairies often in Irish folklore because they were both, oh, I don't know a good word, unchristian forces that they would tell these stories about. Um, Anyways, we're going to find out and then we can all formulate our own opinions. This is the story of Bewitched Butter by Miss Letitia McClintock. Not far from Rathmullen lived last spring a family called Hanlon, and in a farmhouse some fields distant, people named Doherty. Both families had good cows, but the Hanlons were fortunate in possessing a Kerry cow that gave more milk and yellower butter than the others. Grace Doherty, a young girl who was more admired and than loved in the neighborhood, took much interest in the Kerry cow, and appeared one night at Miss Hanlon's door with the modest request, "Will you let me milk your Moily cow?" "And why would you wish to milk wee Moily, Grace dear?" inquired Miss Hanlon. "Oh, just because you're sae throng at the present time." "Thank you kindly, Grace, but I'm not too throng to do my ain work. I'll no trouble you to milk." The girl turned away with a discontented air, but the next evening, and the next, found her at the cow-house door with the same request. At length, Miss Hanlon, not knowing well how to persist in her refusal, yielded, and permitted Grace to milk the Kerry cow. She had soon reason to regret her want of firmness. Moily gave no more milk to her owner. When this melancholy state of things lasted for 3 days, the Hanlons applied to a certain Mark McCarrion, who lived near Binion. "That cow has been milked by someone with an evil eye," said he. "Will she give you a wee drop, do you think? The full of a pint measure would do." "Oh, aye, Mark dear. I'll get that much milk for her, anyway." "We'll," Mrs. Hanlon, "lock the door, and get 9 new pins that was never used in clothes, and put them into a saucepan with a pint of milk. Set them on the fire, and let them come to the boil." The 9 pins soon began to simmer in Moily's milk. Rapid steps were heard approaching the door. Agitated knocks followed, and Grace Doherty's high-toned voice was raised in eager entreaty. "Let me in, Mrs. Hanlon," she cried. "Take off that cruel pot. Take out them pins, for they're pricking holes in my heart, and I'll never offer to touch milk of yours again." So, that concludes the story. There is an afterword here that I'll get to in a minute. This kind of sounds like it was meant to be a scary sort of story. Looks like Grace Doherty was, in fact, a witch in disguise who was trying to curse Mrs. Hanlon. So, that was an interesting one. I'm going to read here the afterword for a bit. In Connacht called a muil cow, i.e. a cow without horns. Irish mal, literally blunt. When the new hammerless breech loaders came into use 2 or 3 years ago, Mr. Douglas Hyde heard a Connaught gentleman speak of them as the muil cows, because they had no cocks. There is hardly a village in Ireland where the milk is not thus believed to have been stolen times upon times. There are many counter-charms. Sometimes the coulter of a plough will be heated red hot, and the witch will rush in, crying out that she is burning a new horseshoe or donkey shoe, heated and put under the churn, with 3 straws if possible, stolen at midnight, from over the witch's door is quite infallible. And that is a note from Ed. I don't know who Ed is. But alright, so apparently it is common in Irish folklore for witches to steal cow's milk. We might think, oh, how dastardly. But when you're thinking that these people required on that milk for survival, it really does become a story that perhaps could raise someone's ire a little bit more than we expect. Speaking of milk, I just poured a little bit into my coffee, which I'm going to go enjoy now. Alright, I hope you all have a fine day. I'm going to try to upload another one later, a video that I failed to upload yesterday because it was a bit too long and overwhelmed my poor internet. Okay, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay in the pursuit of knowledge. Good morning, students.